These are the Sunday recommendations for my free email list for October the 31st, 2021. This week's blog post is on a plaster cast collection that dates to around 1900. Last month I visited a plaster cast collection at the George Walter Vincent Smith Art Museum in Springfield, Massachusetts. As the Romantics said in the early 19th century, plaster casts do look sort of spectral and ghostly. And since this week is Halloween, I thought we would cover them this week. But whether they look ghostly or not, they are one-to-one copies of some of the greatest works of Western art, so they're also quite beautiful. And to top it off, they illustrate several of the innovations that I discussed in Innovators in Sculpture, so that's the angle that I took for the blog post. Second recommendation, Worthington Whitridge, Lonely Graves on the Colorado Plains, painted around 1886. In the summer of 1866, near Fort Kearney, Nebraska, Whitridge sketched the graves of travelers who had died crossing the Great Plains. He painted this canvas back in his New York studio. It's at the Michel and Donald Damour Museum of Fine Arts, which is part of the Springfield Museums complex. Third recommendation is also from that museum. Jean-Étienne Léotard, who lived 1702 to 1789, young girl singing into a mirror. When I first saw this painting, I assumed the girl was shouting or screaming, but that was puzzling because her face isn't distorted by anger or fear. According to the label, she's simply watching herself as she sings. In a century known for portraits of women in elaborate outfits with outrageous hairstyles, I've given you a link to one, Léotard preferred simplicity. He worked mostly in pastels. We had an example of that in one of my posts on the Getty Museum. The fourth recommendation this week for my supporters is by an artist who has the delicious name of Chucker Buddy. DianeDuranteWriter.com has hundreds of posts on sculpture, painting, architecture, and my other obsessions. To join the free Sunday recommendations email list, visit the URL that's on the screen or email me. And you can say, "Well done, Diane," or support my work and receive rewards by means of the tip jar on DianeDuranteWriter.com. As always, thank you for listening.